Hi again, it's Joe Strazzeri. I'd like to talk about the thought beneath the talk. What you're staring at is the idea that every action has an ancestor of thought. If it does have an ancestor of thought, the question is when you're in a situation, are you invested in a result or are you involved in the moment? If I'm having a conversation with Sue, if I'm trying to convince Sue to do a thing, that I'm invested in her doing that thing, and hence my thought process, my thought and communication process will be to corral her into it. If, on the other hand, I have an outcome that isn't specific, but how do we find the next best thing? How do we find a better possibility? How do we together find another outcome? I would be involved in the moment versus invested in an outcome. When I'm invested, the thing that I enjoy less, I get a hunch, I ruminate on that hunch, I formulate a conclusion based on probably a misunderstanding of prior fact and prior motive. I formulate what I would like, I gain conviction about it, and then I'm in protection mode. I've got to have this answer. Hence, I'm corralling the conversation to get there. And if it starts to get out of hand, I'm pushing it back in. But what instead? What instead if you or I were not going to be invested in a result, a particular action result, but just a better possibility? I could be involved in the moment, and my thought pattern might be I have a data point. I have a data point, and then I say, well, I'm curious, is that the correct data point? Does it relate to something in my past or not? Was that idea right? Am I seeing it correctly? I'm inquiring, I'm curious, I'm saying what other ways to see it? What is that the best possible outcome? What other outcomes might there be? And then I develop a little bit of compassion for what other people are going through within it. How will this affect others? I again hit that curiosity. That curiosity is probably the tool I have in front of me, Curiosity Rocks, that I actually have at each one of my tables at my office to remind people around us to always be curious. Within that curiosity, then I'm asking the Sue character, the other character with me, hey, what other ways could we get there? And we can find an alignment together, not about a particular decision or a particular end result, but what's a possibility we're looking for and how could we find it together? That alignment is going to cause a different outcome and a different action. So if we're just talking about the thought beneath the talk, take a look at yourself and take a look at others. Are they taking the downward path of something that gets to this formulation, conviction, and protectionism? Or are they more open to possibilities where they're compassionate to others, they're constantly curious, and you're developing an alignment where you can find other conclusions that might be better? We use this when we're confronted with a situation saying, am I bollocksed up or are they bollocksed up, where we're trying to drive something? I might use this when I'm feeling like I'm driving to an answer because I've only got so much time. This piece has to fall in place with the others. So I'm going to make you do this, but I'm going to sound like we're doing it together. I'm going to sound like it's your idea, but I'm really it's mine. If I'm feeling that way, I can look at the top line and say, how could I have a better conversation? So I hope it helps.